Design Quality and Resource Management lecture. So, and this session is really focusing on design and quality, and we see if we have some time left, we may start looking what is actually meant by resource management, but I don't think that we will finish that all. Okay. So, in terms of my literature slide has gone. Okay, the literature and reading papers are as well attached in the ELP again. So I have two learning papers. I have noticed in the automated version there are some links glitches. So open the PDF document, there you have the real links. I don't know how that actually happened. That links you back to sustainability. So this will be really confusing for some of you. I've asked my IT person to change this. So this is work in progress. I hope when you click on it, you will not see any issues, but you may still see the hiccup. So if there's a wrong link, just go to the PDF. This is basically the right links. Yeah. Okay, so today we have a lean way of doing it. This is an example of a, how should I call it? Shall I go the Japanese way? So it's a philosophy of doing work. Yeah, and I have borrowed the underlining approach to look a little bit at the issues, why they actually designed it that way. Yeah, so we look first at design and design thinking as well before we actually look at quality. And I want to stress more in this session the underlining thoughts why we actually do this. Yeah, and as well the seminar where we have a small simulation to kind of challenge a little bit our assumptions, and then have actually a discussion and unfold a little bit what quality means, how we design quality into our life as well. Yeah, so this I hope that will be a fun session. And with quality and project management, I raised this a little bit. Concurrent engineering, I have actually kind of reserved for later, but today we have a little bit of a look at configuration management as well, briefly in terms of what the underlying process is and what it means. Yeah, please come in. Okay. Design thinking, or the stuff to power, a lean way of to doing it. Yeah, and I talk here nearly philosophic cryptic. So design is a recognition that you are not happy with things as they are. Yeah, and this is of course a controversial statement. Yeah, so design is an underlying power that we have to kind of do something that we may have done in the past a certain way in a different way. Yeah? And design is actually a new invention. Yeah? In the past, with clerical rules 300 years ago, you would potentially be hung for some of those stuff. Yeah? But nowadays we are a little bit more open about it, and we perceive maybe design as a good thing, or maybe even we have technophobia. Yeah? So it clearly goes deep with some individuals that may not like design too much. Yeah? Okay, why design thinking? Well, in projects we often come to that, and it's implicit in our project delivery. We have no resources, we have no, we have to think. So this is a famous quote actually, and I haven't written from whom. I can't actually remember who that was, but it will come back, it's in the references as well. So design thinking was seen as a tool of responding to problems or looking at ways what we are doing at the moment in a new way, in a more suitable way. So that is really where it came from. The design thinking movement came together with hot brands like agile thinking and as well agile manufacturing, 3D printing, the whole movement of making the industry more purpose-led, more design interface to the user-centric. And it gained really interest in many project-based industries. I think by now really in all. So we had some industries that were quite conservative about it. One was actually ironically construction, but even they have jumped now with BIM and new information technologies on that bandwagon. Now, another important thing with design thinking is the separation between design and production. that you try to kind of get hold of and manage more sufficiently. Yeah? So this is another element. So you try as well to respond more functional to your design. So can we make it work in projects or making it work in projects? In order to think of a design, we have to know what the problem is. Yeah. So with the design thinking, it was as well a problem orientedness. Yeah. And often defining the problem is the hard part here. Yeah. So what is the design? So different meaning to different people. So what is it to you? So I've written here: a wallpaper pattern, fashionable dress, appearance of a racing car, maybe. Yeah. Or if you are actually from a design discipline, it may be the aerodynamics, yeah, that you are considering to make a design. So what do you consider under design? Or the term design? What is it for you? Maybe quick self-observation. When you hear design, do you think of the verb or the, well, is it for you designing or is it a design? Yeah. What are you thinking of with design?
For me, it's anything. You design a process, you design a product.
Mm-hmm.
Designing anything rather than designing.
Okay, so you design a process, yeah, or a product. So you're already enabled, yeah. So you see like, okay, we have a problem here, we can do this better. Let's do it, yeah. So the will to power, very good, yeah. Other designs?
Ideas.
Yeah, ideas. What kind of ideas?
Primary ideas before design.
Yeah. Oh, so you have data even, yeah? Okay, yeah, this I like that a lot, yeah? So designing informed on data, yeah? Yeah, very good. This is already quite advanced, but what do you think of if somebody talks about design? What do you think of? Is it really just me? I was thinking of the futuristic designs. Have you not seen like car designs or plane designs of the future? No? So we had, this is probably quite geeky, but as a child I had a folder called Project X, where kind of design companies would publish futuristic designs of transport, living, city designs, and as well going to education and food was completely different. Okay, this was again just me. Okay, fair enough. And any other designs? Okay, so yeah, my mom, if I ask her about design, she will come like, yeah, look at the beautiful wallpaper. This is the Italian design. What do you make of that? And I have to admit, I don't see the difference. Yeah, but yeah, so there's certainly an element of that as well. Yeah. Other terms with design? Yeah, I had hoped for something like Apple or maybe fashion, right?
Create something new.
Yeah, create something new. Yeah. Anything else that springs to mind? Okay. So, but we have some different kind of understandings what design is. What it's for is a completely different matter. Yeah. So we come to that as well. So the understanding will lead to an examination why we actually need design, and as well how we might best go about designing. So this is of course a big question. So we had that already. What design may be. So I have a few as well to give you the full spectrum or a grasp of a spectrum what's around. So design is a recognized field of cultural history. Yeah, this is actually a movement as well. Yeah, here in the UK, it came about from moving away from the separation between art and kind of industry. Yeah, and design was a notion. We have the Royal Society of Arts, and if you read the full kind of title, there comes something like commerce and manufacturing. Yeah, so the Royal Society of Art is not about art. It is actually about the design movement now as well. So So it was the idea bringing art into the real world, yeah, making the two ends meet and having a more aesthetic pleasing environment, yeah. So not just a product that is hard to kind of be captured, yeah. Then design is as well so obvious that almost invisible, yeah. So it can be as well difficult to be defined, like the air we breathe. Oh yeah, okay. It surrounds us. It's critical to our survival. It is one of the most powerful tools at our disposal. Yeah, think here of user interfaces. Yeah, I just made a painful experience with. Shall we shame a company here? I hope nobody from here, from you, is from this company. So we have like a purchase, well, we have a procurement strategy. So we have a favored travel agent called Key Travel, and the web page doesn't allow you to find actually out what you have booked. So once you have booked it, it's gone from the system. You cannot find it. So there is an interface. Yeah, if you have used before something like Skyscanner or EasyJet, it's the opposite. You see always what you have booked or even what you have in the basket. And it's kind of the expectations. Yeah, so the user interface even is designed. Yeah, and it makes it harder or easier to get access to, well, the information, being aware of something. Yeah, so there's implicitness to this. Yeah, and it's very powerful. So it's as well artifacts. Yeah, so as an engineer, I shouldn't admit to this, but if we would have a visit of, for example, Nestle factories, and you send somebody like me in that does a lot of industrial engineering and project management for PepsiCo, I walk in and see straight away the difference, yeah, and I think like, ooh, this is quite smart. And I think like, ooh, this is quite stupid. They haven't considered the problems yet, yeah. So you look at things around you as well with this design intent. Yeah, it's a very powerful thing, yeah. And of course, stupid and smart is functionality, maybe efficiency. Yeah, so they are already underlining thoughts that I have here. Yeah. Okay, design is too fundamental to education as well as a process to be separated out and engaged in occasionally designing what humans do. The classical example is education-wise, best education system for mathematics. Let's play a controversial game. Yeah, all are pretty good actually. If you compare, really, it's not a big difference. But who is the best? Does anybody know? Mathematics. So who can, after kind of A levels, already solve most of the biggest mathematical riddles? What do you think? We take guesses here. A levels, anybody? Yeah, or high school, depending on what system you are from, something equivalent. Where do you think you can already do the most complicated mathematics? I take guesses. Nobody? Is nobody proud of their education system? Yeah, it's UK definitely. Okay, I conclude. So I mean the best yeah. No? The arguably the best is Singapore, but you will find out that the Singaporean mathematics system is actually problem-solving oriented. So if you want to do anything sophisticated with form or metal bending or vector algebra or determinants, so if you don't know what that is, it's quite alright, then you are actually in a troubling situation because you have not engaged yet with that. Now in other countries like Germany or Switzerland, we learn the mathematics, but we don't know the problem solving. So the dilemma as a German, yeah, coming out of the A-level education system is, you stand in front of that problem and you know how to calculate it, but nobody has written down the formula for you. So this is a big problem. Do you see the dilemma? Yeah. So actually, ironically, the Singaporean system is better in that sense, and there's a big threshold. In reality, it doesn't make a big difference. But I'm saying here, the design is different. The emphasis is different, right? So this is important to recognize. And as well, to make the world work in a shortest possible time through spontaneous cooperation without ecological offense or the devastation of anyone. Keep in mind, this is here architect, designer, revolutionary, if you know him, Buckminster Fuller. Yeah. So there's already like an implication of user interface, and I have a lot more. Design is structure and aesthetics. In a statement like this is a little bit mean. You should have as well ethics and logic. Otherwise you have missed the other parts. To design, the verb means conceiving ways to optimize human existence. Wow, this is a really big one. Yeah? It is an essential process with which humans organize their world. So here's an important thing. You too design. Yeah? If you are setting up your desk to work on something, you kind of design your interface. Yeah? Early humans' design capability accelerated the evolution of our species, ensuring survival and ascendancy. Seeing language development, even learning itself, are basic forms of designing involving the reorganization of relationships to create new meaning. And the classical joke is Germanic languages, very good for long-term planning, very bad for operations, whereas English, for example, very good for operations, not so good for long-term planning. Has to do as well with the grammar that is embraced in the languages. But it's a joke, so but you can tease any linguist with that. Yeah, they will probably fall for that. Then the purpose of design is to enhance communication. So here we have another way of this. And design is keeping everybody happy, or at least happy as happy as possible. This was a colleague from Western Australia from a university, which was quite funny. He's actually the dean, and that was his spin to it. Yeah, so quite interesting. Okay. So if you look at those definitions, there are some elements, and this comes from the dictionary really, but it shows the commonalities here. First of all, there is a particular purpose held in view by an individual or group. So it's a political statement as well, a lens of how you want to see the world. And then there's deliberate and purposeful planning. So you implement it as one medium to do it. So design is already there when you actually arrive in the world. When you were born, there were already a lot of problems solved for you. This is important to recognize. So there's a tradition as well. And then the second is a mental project or scheme in which means to an end are laid down. Also, it's as well the recognition that design or designing is the element where you actually go through the process of making your idea into something that you can start to communicate to do it actually. Right? Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So design is a shared activity. Design is that area of human experience, skill, knowledge, which is concerned with man's, or women's, ability to mold his environment to suit his material or spiritual needs. And this was even put more pragmatically forward, initiate change in man or woman-made things. So here the process often comes from a problem-solving process. So this is again simplified, but it's functional for us to kind of understand it. So let's have a look at this. The definitions are well, you will see, depending if you are embracing something like lean or you have a certain production, design has probably already a tradition in your project environment. So now we have to, of course, look a little bit what this actually means to us. Yeah. So the design process or problem-solving process is often about consultation and consensus. Yeah? If we are talking about a design, I see that regularly. Yeah? I'm as well tempted by those things. I've written my own blog for my higher education pedagogic degree that I did 3 years ago. And I thought like, wow, I write my own blog. This looks very aesthetically pleasing. And then I asked my supervisor, hey, what do you make of this? And he was just like, where are all the buttons? And I didn't know how to navigate. Yeah, so there's a functionality, and you have to realize that. So design process is really about consultation and consensus. So you want to find a functionality that makes it very simplicit, very intuitional, easy to engage with. So this means you may have to look at existing ways of doing it as well, even if that may kind of undermine a little bit your breakthrough idea. Yeah. It has as well to do with identification and analysis of a problem or need. Yeah. And here this is always heartbreaking for every engineer in particular. It means you have to analyze the problem in more depth. Don't throw the first solution at it. Yeah, otherwise you're probably reinventing something that's already there. Yeah. And there's another element to this. It's often a structured sequence of tackling actually problems. Yeah. So and this was what we had already from you. Yeah. So it's often information is researched up front, or you're actually investigating and try to problematize a lot more to actually come to the full extent of the problem that you're trying to solve. And ideas are being explored and evaluated until an optimum solution to the problem or need is delivered. Now, when I write here optimum, although I know designers and as well engineers that are committed for their life with this sentence, often optimum means within the time frame that you have been given, yeah, or within the happiness levels of the client or the wills to still engage with you. Yeah, so there are hidden other dimensions in the optimum. Yeah, although in university we have kind of committed to the optimum, like kind of beyond lifetime, right? So you are aware we write those books with our journal papers as well continuously since 2000 years. This is what we are doing, or this is what I'm doing. So and then you know that your lifetime is just a little footnote, nothing else in this book. Yeah. So but anyway, that's a different story. So what is design then? So design, not always a rational process, often chaotic. It's often as well about sense making, which makes it a painful experience. So if you're a project manager, yeah, that likes concise communication, then this is probably a horrendous process for you. Yeah, and some of you may remember in the first weeks where we designed our own assessment, yeah, there's a lot of sense making required, and people have different ideas. And you have to find a way to kind of show each other what's actually going on in your mind, what your ideas are. Yeah. Again, it's about consultation and consensus, but often at the beginning, particular, they are barely evident at the beginning. Yeah. So you may have completely different ideas about what it is, and then design was not a total process. It's kind of attempted to be now, so with Lean at least it is. Then compartmentalization. What do I mean by that? Compartmentalized. What does that mean?
Categorized.
Yeah, categorized. But compartment. Well, what do I mean in this context? Why do I say design is compartmentalized? Like,
often different parts of the design are designed by different people, so
yeah.
each basic counterpart.
Yes. So we have actually embraced a lot of professions in industries that are responsible for different aspects of the design. Yeah. So you have one kind of designs a beautiful aesthetic appearance, maybe. Then you have maybe, if we go with a plane, you have somebody that has like somewhere a little air channel where he puts this kind of model in to actually look at the aerodynamic, and it says like, wow, aesthetically this was very pleasing, but it has nothing to do with functionality, and they redesign it, right, to make it fit for them. And then maybe the structural engineer or the guy that does the mechanical side looks at it and is heartbroken about the design. He says like, this will not be buildable, yeah, and then changes it again, and this is of course an impact on the design. Yeah, so the first design looks nothing like the final design. Yeah, it's as well unilateral exploration. What do I mean by that? Can't say the word. In German that is a lot easier. But what could I mean by that? I have this word. So the point is here, it's uni and lateral. I should have just said it that way, right? So unilateral. What does that mean?
One way.
Yeah?
There's only one way.
Yes, it's actually the opposite. Yeah?
Lots of ways.
Yeah. So the exploration is not defined. So if you have been part of the first time and you join another one and you haven't been part of the process, it's very likely that you have other driving forces in it. Yeah. So the unilateral idea is basically that you try to get as many perspectives in, but it means as well that the path is very different, right? So you can start very different and may arrive at a similar level, but there are multiple ways. Yeah? Often we have as well experts imposing constraints, we can work with elements like vetoes, which is often a very democratic way, but again, the authority of the design is a questionable thing. Yeah? So there may be an optimal design which is only visible to one person, but again, this is controversial. Then little, if any, valid input to make from non-designers, so they claim at least. And there's another element to it, often a social bubble. So depending on what you had access to, what your exposure is, what your experience is, what you have studied, you arrive as well with preconceptions, and respectively you may just be focusing on certain elements more than the others. So the result, many designers did little to satisfy the need of the users. This is kind of the notion that we arrive with particularly the social bubble phenomena. And you see it actually live around you, right? Our user interfaces with pretty much everything at the moment redesigned with kind of the internet and information technology that we have now. Yeah? If you speak to your grandparents or maybe your parents and you ask them, hey, how was it 30 years ago? Yeah, if you have that reference, then you will probably ask a lot of sub-questions because a lot of the things that we now refer to wasn't available. Yeah? If you wanted to hear how much money your employer paid you, if you were lucky, you got with the post a pay slip, yeah? But alternatively, you had to go to the bank. And I think at that time, they had remarkable times. Yeah? So apparently in Anglo-Saxon countries, the opening times were somewhere between 10 and 2 p.m., yeah? Which meant that if you worked full-time, you had no chance of knowing what you had on your account. No, well, it's not that drastic. So they had normally the Saturday open as well. Yeah? So in investigated, it's quite interesting. Yeah? So there was something in the design that was very different. Now we kind of accept as well a lot more platforms that actually crash. Yeah? So the design has gone so far that we're actually on the try and fail mode of designing, which is quite an interesting one. Okay. Now, there was a sharp reaction against the design movement, actually, and I mentioned that was the first definition. So this was kind of the idea that why do we leave art making these beautiful furnitures? Why can we not buy those in large scale, right? Or why is there a design plane that can fly 10,000 kilometers per hour and we still fly with current Boeing 747, yeah? So this was a big question, and it was addressed. So individuals sought to express their own tastes through what they use or buy. You know, this is kind of how it came about, and we should really pause at that. This is a huge thing. So in the past, you know, a company would give you things that would enrich your life. Now we have actually turned the tables. We are arguably in a design economy. Yeah, where you can choose as well what you enforce as a platform. So we see that with some platform technologies. So for example, Apple is a typical one, yeah, for mobiles. If you bought an Apple iPhone at some point, you invested into a design and kind of fashion organization. Now they have a heavy technology spin to it. But this was their kind of idea. They wanted to provide you with a lifestyle that is in trend, yeah. So that was at least the aspiration, yeah. Versus when you go Samsung, it was a different. It's a technology company basically already, yeah. So, but with this decision, you could as well enable platform, and with this, design became not an activity solely for engineers and designers, but a shared activity between those who design, those who make, and those who use. Yeah? And this is kind of where the crux lies. Yeah. Key components of this explanation are as follows. You really wanted means to an end, yeah, with a definite goal, a result that kind of makes it a better experience for you. Yeah, so this can be a smarter interface, not too many tools, maybe making things smaller, but then there was a recognition that we have actually an optimum, well, we have a hand, so in a way if you interact with that there's a size implication. So there's actually an optimum to that. Then there's as well a mental aspect, so the thinking process. How do people actually think and engage with something? And so if you want to have a breakthrough design, you have to have a platform of educating as well, to get users to buy into it. And then, of course, there was a plan, scheme, inverse, distinct from implementation, and then the invention itself, coming up with something new, at least partly. So this can be an incremental innovation. So if you look at the innovation literature, this is even more refined in terms of inventing and creativity that lies behind it. So can we now define design completely? This was really the intent, of course. So no, and neither do we need to, because rigid definition implies rigid process, and we want to, of course, have one that is flexible enough so that you can embrace the right principles for your project. So design is an application of creativity to planning the optimum solution of a given problem and the communication of that plan to others. So a design problem is a real life problem with many solutions. Some better, some worse. You have as well the availability of showing this. And then solution process is not a mechanistic one, but a fluid one. So you have to kind of bind in your stakeholders, and we must strive for an optimum solution, which is not necessarily our solution. So this is a heartbreaking part, of course. Okay. So let's have a look at this process of action and reflection. So a fundamental cycle is actually underlining it. So you start really, and we had that as well in our initial seminar. You propose an idea, you evaluate and criticize it, define sub-problems. So if you criticize it and you are listening carefully to the solutions of your team members, to your clients, you can actually see what they perceive as a problem, which you may not see as a problem. So this is really the strength of the approach. And with the sub-problems, you can then analyze and come to a more refined definition of what the problem actually is that you're trying to solve. Then you come to propose solution, and it's often multiple solution. And important to recognize that this goes back to this hardest aspect, often the formulating of the problem, and as well the recognition that there is no one right answer. So examination of existing designs is often part of this process too. So you can, of course, look at existing designs and how they have solved maybe this problem. So the commercial design approach is a little bit more ruthless. So is the design good or not? The quick answer is this depends really what you have as specs. So I try to answer that a little bit with quality management, what we have as underlining old mechanisms for determining if a product is good or bad. But in reality, with our new designs, we don't really know, unless you know the objectives and goals that were set out at the beginning. So it means, again, you're defining something. So it may be very good for the context that you are aware of, but who knows if this is actually what the product or user is actually using it for. So it's as well, if you want to use a mobile again, if you look at the duration that we spend actually using the mobile phone for phoning, versus other multifunctional device purposes, it's questionable why we actually call it mobile phone, of course. And if customer wants and needs are included as part of those objectives and goals, most of the time the product or service will be successful. This is already kind of a pragmatic approach. And why some clients may not understand or like the design approach, they are not aware of the objectives and goals. So this is as well a little bit, again, coming back, maybe a reflective piece. So with the assessment as well, you may have noticed that at the beginning it felt very uncomfortable if you hadn't got your head around the objectives and goals of what you actually tried to design, right? So they may be judging subjectively to their own agenda, and again, there may be, so this has maybe to do as well with certain fears, So the design process can be as well scary, So how can we manage this more functionally? Well, we have actually tools and techniques. So this is where I kind of bring Lean in as an example. So lean as a way into design management. Although coming from a particular point of view, there are many aspects of the lean approach which address some of the problem issues of design management, and a few of you will as well actually have lean as a module next semester. So with this you will have a lot of parallels that link basically into this. Yeah. So what is it? Lean design. So it's an integrated process with designing and producing, customer needs, and concurrent engineering as an enabler. And the joke is here concurrent. So CE is basically that. The lean project delivery for lean design is an ongoing dialogue as a basis. So again, we had that already. You really try to achieve your mutual understanding. So if you're a facilitator or you are part of this team, this means you really want to actively listen and ask questions so you make sense of the words that basically your counterpart or user gives you. Yeah, so you want to unfold kind of their understanding and maybe even work with examples what they actually associate with it. Process is governed by group meetings and teamwork. Yeah, and in professional meetings you would have a facilitator. Yeah, that really tries to bring out understandings and implicit definitions, and focus on increasing the customer value as well. So there are other processes where you can do value streaming exercises and really see where the value in this particular product or service lies for your user. Also considers various alternatives products with process design. So this is actually the encouragement to see like reference designs that spring to mind. Yeah. And then it's a set-based design strategy. Yeah, so you're basically trying to solve as well. In sets the different aspects that you're trying to solve. And another element is, and this is the hard part, sharing incomplete information improves decision making. Yeah, so this means as well you kind of put the information forward. What decision would we actually arrive with? And then you challenge it against all the party members. Yeah. When I say challenge, this is not like this is a decision I want to do. It's not an autocratic one, but it's a functional, logical one where you encourage feedback on it, and you really want to kind of come to better information collection. Yeah. So this has as well to do with the leadership style. It's not helpful if you have somebody that is very autocratic and kind of interrupts people whilst talking. Yeah. Then it's a wrong process really. Yeah. Okay, so with this we come to concurrent product or process design. What does that actually mean, concurrent? What do you make of concurrent?
Happening at the same time, or many things happening at the same time.
Yeah. So you may have competing design aspects happening that don't fit together, yeah, and you still have to then align them, yeah. But you may look at those aspects more specifically in terms of what does the user want. So there is actually like a clear benchmark that you can use to then refine your overall design, yeah. That makes it as well a messy process to a degree, yeah. So frequent communication of design outputs in small batch sizes. This is exactly what I just kind of said. So spot on. Shortens the setup time for review and lowers the WIP. What is this?
Work in progress?
Yes, spot on. Yeah. So and with this you have then the detailed design or fabrication shifted to manufacturers or a production personnel integrated with designers team. Yeah. And this, of course, avoids as well the reworking and potential double work. Yeah, so it's a very powerful tool in that way. So some of the tools and techniques available for managing the design in a lean way include, I've actually got it below. So LPDS tools such as Last Planner, pull scheduling, reduction and reduction of batch sizes. And respective decreasing of storage if you do it well. Others go into project definition, cross-functional team, use of collaborative technologies. So here we have the classical EDIs or ND modelings. So this is basically using a model platform that you are sharing, where you can kind of basically simplify the design negotiation. Yeah. Then we have as well SDID, so similar definition development tools. Again, I've given you those examples in the paper, so you can play a little bit around with some simple applications to have a look what they actually do. Yeah, and then it's as well, again, the set-based design that I kind of mentioned already earlier. And you may even have a design structure matrix to kind of look at the configuration of your designs. Yeah? So in other words, where do the parts come together? Where are the critical points? Are the intersections actually working? Yeah? So those were potential tools that you can use. So the project definition and cross-functional teams to overcome the are really used to overcome the ill-defined and wicked problems in project definitions. This phase, well, for best results really, is carried out as a team decision process where project learning is based on a collaborative argumentation and the reflection of the processes. So all of you should be very familiar with that. This is kind of what we did in the first 3 weeks, right? First 4 weeks really, yeah. So in a way you have experienced this, but yeah, it's as well kind of a wicked problem, yeah, because you come together to a shared vision of what you're doing. Yeah. Shall we have a quick break? First of all, questions. No questions. Okay, a lot to take in. In the seminar, we look at design and values and basically challenge it a little bit. For now, we can have. Shall we do 10 minutes and we can push on afterwards? Yeah. Okay. 10 minutes break. So we start 1:03. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.